What should be stocked in this pond? That's the question that we're going to answer today. So we're at a fish farm. We've got Dr. Alex from Think Aqua, who's helping with RAD Global. We've got Dan, who's the DFO. We've got Pauson, who's the AFO, so fisheries officers working for local government. And then there's me, Tim from RAD. Hi there. And this farm belongs to somebody from the ministry, the permanent secretary, who's quite obviously very important individual in charge of agriculture in the country. And this is his demonstration site. You've actually seen this before. We were here when it was being constructed, this pond. So you'll have seen he's got 500 tilapia in there. He's got 1,000 or so catfish in the other pond. And we're trying to work out what should be stocked. So how do you do that? How do you know how many fish you should put into a pond? Well, let's go through some of the maths, shall we? So one of the things you need to decide is what type of fish you want. And so the permanent secretary of PS, he wants catfish, he particularly likes catfish. Catfish are good because they are hard to kill, easy to maintain. So they're a very hardy fish. People really like them. They grow quite fast. They're quite carnivorous, very predatory. So they'll eat all the frogs and any minnows, any other things that get into the ponds. They'll eat it all. They'll also eat tilapia, and it's all about being able to swallow them because of their mouth size. So I'll explain why that's important in a moment. So you want to decide what species. He wants catfish. He also does like a bit of tilapia because he likes some of the family members like that. So we decided the species, catfish and tilapia. Now we need to know the size. So I've paced this out and it's 10 by 20. So 10 metres by 20 metres. So 20 metres that way, 10 metres that way. It's about 1 metre deep. So that means in total you've got about 200 square metres of water. So then you know how much fish you can put in your water. So let's go through the maths there, shall we? This pond has his catfish and he's got quite a lot of individuals, but actually he's used this pond actually wasn't for fish, it's for irrigation. So he collects water in here, it gets pumped up to those tanks there, irrigate his crops. So it's really when, during the dry season he can use that. So it's not really that great for catfish in terms of, well no, it is great for catfish, but when you're trying to collect the harvest the catfish, it's very difficult because it's too deep for a net. So it's difficult to catch the catfish. So he wants to move some of these catfish perhaps. Then in this pond here, he's got about 500 tilapia, quite big, good size, and that's the other species that he's got. Now they have different stocking requirements. So tilapia need more oxygen. So you would want to stock a maximum about 4 tilapia per square metre in a pond. So in a 200 square metres, remember that pond that we've not stocked, you would put in 800, right? 800 tilapia. And you might add a bit for mortality, maybe 10% of the small fish. So 880, let's round it up to 900. 900 tilapia in here. Catfish can support a higher density. So the maximum you'd want to put in is 10 per square metre. So this pond you could put in 2,000 catfish. Now there's some caveats with all this. The more fish you put into a system, the scarcer the resources are in terms of feed, but more importantly oxygen, and then you start using that up. So if you're not going to manage it particularly well, and here it's casual labourers, you want to do it without too much stress. You would reduce those numbers down. Now actually what we're suggesting here is a mixed system. So you put in large tilapia, and then you put in mixed sacks as well so they can breed. And then once they start breeding, so they've got little fingerlings, about 1-2 grams, you put in some catfish, and the catfish will eat the little tilapia because they're predatory, but they'll leave the big tilapia, and the big tilapia will grow. And that way you keep your population under control, so you don't end up with more than the 800 tilapia that you've put in. You don't want to, if they breed, then start producing more. You have a problem there. So you control your numbers, and then your catfish grow. So that's the system that we're thinking about. Now, of course, if you've put in, you can't put 800 tilapia in, and then also put in on top of that 2,000 catfish, because then you've used up all you're doing 14 fish per square metre, essentially, which is far too much for this pond. So then you have a tipping point where the maximum catfish you can put is 2,000, the maximum is 800 tilapia, and then you go somewhere in between those two numbers, so you start reducing down. So we're thinking maybe 1,000 catfish in here, maybe 200 tilapia as the method. And actually, I think what they'll probably do is the tilapia that are in this pond will get moved. So there's some of the bigger ones. They can start reproducing in here, and then you add small catfish, maybe about 1,000. They will hoover up, eat up all the little tilapia, get nice and big on the table, and then you've ended up with the 2 fish that you want. So it's quite a neat system. It works really well. You're keeping your tilapia growing big, because remember, if you started off with a certain number of adults and then start reproducing lots of little ones, that put the tilapia under pressure, so that you're stopping that from happening, but you're also giving a food source for your catfish, so you get the big catfish that you want. So it's really good. Pauson is doing the maths here for the PS on how to do that. But I hope you've enjoyed that. We're just going to watch this pipe should start pouring out more water just to get it topped up, because of course that 200 square meters is based on 1 meter of depth. It's not quite 1 meter deep yet. And there's a stream that was blocked that end to send water here. We've unblocked it, so the water will start running and then come in this pipe. Yeah, that's how you decide how you're going to stock your ponds. Those are some of the calculations that you need to do. It's very simple. It's not too straightforward. It's not too complicated, but that gives you a guide to hopefully inform some of the decisions that you're making. And you need to look at a range of factors. What's the quality of the water? Maybe you're putting water in that's got lots of oxygen. Maybe there's lots of people on the ground who know what they're doing. Maybe it's your first time. It's always better to understock than to overstock, because at least you'll get something at the end. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more information and more content. Bye for now.